This episode is called Rumpole and the Age of Retirement. It's about people who long for other people to retire. The Chambers and Hilda, Rumpole's wife, and his son Nick, who's come over from America, are keen on Rumpole retiring. And in the Timpson family, those South London villains who are guilty of no more than ordinary decent crime want one of their number, their Uncle Norman, to retire, and they take some pretty violent and sensational steps to bring about his retirement, and Rumpole solves the mystery that arises from that. Of course, Rumpole is never going to retire, although he's given a state dinner and presented with a clock. All he does is keep the clock and go on working forever.
Percy, Detective Inspector Brush.
No bloody manner. Oh, Whitey, at least give you time to finish your breakfast.
What's in the garage, Percy?
There's nothing in the garage. The lead from the Deptford job went last week.
Electric blankets?
No, girl. The electric blankets are not due until Saturday. Don't worry.
Good.
Open up, Percy.
What, are you interested in buying my banger, Mr. Brush, are you?
You want us to break it down?
Lovely old Austin. One owner, the Vicar of Gravesend. And he only used it for funerals.
We know what you've got there, Percy. We know exactly what you've got.
Nothing, I do assure you, Mr. Brush, what is not perfectly legitimate.
And finally, members of the jury, counsel for the defence in this case has chosen to challenge the police evidence, as he is entitled to do. But you are entitled to form your own opinion of that evidence, quite independently of the views of learned counsel, however long he may have been practising at the bar.
The nudge, nudge, wink, wink, summing up. Why don't you just tell him Rumpole's past it?
We all enjoy Mr. Rumpole's speeches. We always find his little jokes most amusing. But you and I have a more serious duty to perform.
Yes, and I'm only here to provide the light relief. Bring on the dancing Rumpole.
So will you please go now and consider your verdict. The only question for you is whether Melvin Glassworth is guilty as charged. Mr. Jerry Bailiff.
I swear that I will conduct the jury to some private place.
Please, old darling. Consider the feelings of an old man. Give it more than 5 minutes.
Mr. Rumpole? Mr. Rumpole?
Yeah?
Professor Kramer.
Oh?
I've heard a lot about you, sir. Your fame has spread to America.
Oh, I shan't believe that.
Oh, yes, sir. I practiced as an attorney myself for many years.
Oh, I see.
Of course, I didn't wear the rug.
The what?
The headpiece, the horsehair peruke.
Oh, this. Well, of course, you know, we're invisible without it.
You what?
Oh, the judge can't see me unless I've got it on. I must say, sometimes I'm tempted to remove it altogether and disappear entirely from view.
I can understand, sir, exactly how you feel.
Can you?
Well, the learned judge seemed to regard you as a senior citizen.
I'm not all that senior, and he's not all that learned.
I gave up the dust of conflict for the groves of academe. What do they call an academic lawyer here?
Oh, they don't encourage bad language round the Bailey.
Head of the Department of Laws in the University of Baltimore.
Mr. Rumpole.
Baltimore! Did you say Baltimore?
I'm coming back, Mr. Rumpole.
My son Nick's in Baltimore teaching sociology. He's got his own small department now. And a new house at 1106 East Drive. Do you know it? Well, of course, he's the brains of the family.
They're back with a verdict, Mr. Rumpole.
Oh, how extremely rude of them.
No, I can see you're busy. It's our business will wait, Mr. Rumpole.
Well, yeah, I've got to go. Professor...
Kramer, Julius Kramer. I shall be in touch.
Yeah.
Back to the dust of conflict, Mr. Rumpole. I have to tell you, it's great to be out of it.
Yeah.
3 years. Take off 1 for omission, that just leaves 2.
2 years. I suppose you wanted to be grateful.
No, not exactly, Mr. Carter.
I'm a man of a certain fastidiousness. I have to have 2 shirts a day, me. 2 clean shirts is not an indulgence as far as I'm concerned. It's a necessity. They still have slopping out.
Yes, I'm afraid they do.
I've spent my life in the acquisition of beautiful objects.
I suppose that's what the 3 years were for.
Slopping out. How can I live through it? And the sickening sexual advances of beefy waters.
Oh, I wouldn't count on that, old darling.
What do you say?
Oh, nothing. I'm sorry, Mr. Carter.
You're sorry. You can go home. Have a bath with a decent tablet of French fern. Dry yourself on a warm, fleecy towel. Use talcum powder and eau de toilette. You.
Well, I don't, actually.
Attacking the police. That wasn't a smash hit with the jury, was it?
No.
Well, those little jokes in your final speech, they didn't exactly bring the house down.
The judge did go a little too far in his summing up, Melvin. I'm sure we can think of an appeal.
You know what you ought to be thinking about? You? Retirement. That's what he ought to do, Mr. Turner. He ought to bloody retire.
Yes. There's a Mr. Turner on the phone, Mr. Brush.
I want your autograph, Percy. I want this case barrister-proof. That's my intention.
It's his lawyer.
Oh, yes. Bound to be, isn't it? Yeah? Percy Timpson, no, I'm afraid I can't tell you where he's being held at the moment. No, I'm not prepared to let him see a lawyer. Yes, well, if he is an innocent man, he hasn't got a thing to worry about, has he? All he's got to do is answer my questions fully and frankly. You don't want me to stop him doing that, do you, Mr. Turner?
You may see your client, Mr. Turner, when we've completed our inquiries.
Percy's getting too old for it, Mr. Turner. The whole family told him. Too old for it altogether. He ought to retire. Fancy keeping Jesus in his lockout garage. Oh, he's getting that careless.
Well, not sufficiently careless, let us hope, as to give Detective Inspector Brush his autograph.
We've got Noreen. Who got your wife, Percy? We've got her downstairs. You want to charge, do you? Tell me, how long is it exactly since your old woman saw the inside of Holloway? We want a statement in your own words, Percy. What were his own words, exactly?
I received the religious artwork in my garage, well knowing it to be stolen by a person whose name I'm not prepared to divulge.
No doubt on the advice of his bloody lawyer.
What lawyer?
I was intending to dispose of the picture at the earliest opportunity.
All right. Like when I went up to King's Elm Saturday and met some of my contacts. I want that in.
Like when I went up the King's Elm Saturday and met some of my contacts.
Sign on the dotted line, Percy.
You will get Mr. Rumpole.
Now, look, Noreen and Mrs. Simpson.
Look, whatever Percy done, we want Rumpole.
Yes, that's the motto of the Timpson family, isn't it? We want Rumpole. Hasn't it ever occurred to you, Mrs. Timpson, that Rumpole himself might want to retire? Can't go on forever, you know. No one can do that.
It little profits that an idle king eyed this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife. I mete and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. Professor Kramer! Professor! Yes! Matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race.
Come and sit down, dear.
Yes, coming, O master of the blue horizons, she who must be weighed. Ah,
Are you tired, dear?
what do you say?
I said, dear, are you tired?
Yes, how peculiar. That's what I thought you said.
Well, make yourself comfortable. Look, why don't you put your feet up, and I'll get you a nice gin and tonic.
Feeling all right, Hilda?
A day in court is such hard physical labor for a man of your age.
Oh, yes, you take your life in your hands in the law. There's always the chance of slipping down the last two steps of the gents' loo in Pomeroy's wine bar.
You don't want to die in harness, do you? You remember poor old Daddy died in harness, didn't he?
Oh, really? I thought he died in the Tunbridge General Hospital.
You don't want to drop dead in court.
What are you doing?
I'm knitting.
Bed socks?
No, it's for Miss Trant's baby. You know, you're Miss Phillida Trant. You're a nice young girl in chambers.
Yes, our Portia.
She'll have to give up the bar now that she's got the baby.
Birth and death. They silence us all in the end. What are you knitting for? A dust sheet?
Oh, Rumpole. It's a matinee jacket. Oh, I just remembered there's a letter for you.
The baby go to many matinees, do you think? What's it? Hey, Baltimore.
Baltimore?
Might be from Nick. From the desk of Professor Julius Kramer. Oh, yeah. Baltimore University.
Oh, well, it's Nick's University. What a coincidence.
Yeah, Mr. Rumpole, your name has long been known to us as a legal luminary.
There you are, then.
We would wish to invite you and, of course, your good lady to visit us on campus during the autumn semester and deliver a series of lectures on the alienation factor and the psychological aspects of owner deprivation.
What on earth does that mean, Rumpole?
Owner deprivation, I should think what it feels like to have your things nicked. We hope to hear favourably from the minister.
Yes?
And report
Yes.
personally.
Yes, it's Mrs. Rumpole speaking. Oh, Nick! Oh, yes, we were only just talking about you. Yes, he's here, Rumpole. It's our son.
Nick! Hello, you sound very near. I can't hear the Atlantic. You what? Coming to visit us, Nick? That's marvellous. Oh, yes, keeping busy, you know. But we'll have a day out. I'll take her to lunch down the baby. Good Lord. It looks even older than I feel.
It's an extraordinarily talented baby for his age. He has these long, prehensile fingers and an amazingly powerful grip.
Oh, well, that'll be hanging onto his mother's tail as they swing from bough to bough.
I think he has a remarkably intelligent look. I can't get Philly to see it.
Oh, no, quite remarkable. I suppose he'll be picking up a few briefs any day now from the Chancery Division.
Horace, I just thought you might have been seriously interested.
Oh, no, truly, Claude, I am. I mean, with an expression like that, we should find him a place on the second bench.
Are these all your witnesses?
My client's family. They're the sort to breed from the Timpsons. Their activities have kept me in work for years.
But this isn't a fight, surely.
Ah, now, Erskine Bride. My dear Claude, let's say more of a little skirmish.
But the picture was in your garage.
Yeah.
You signed a confession.
Yes. That means I start with a considerable handicap. Well, I suppose that's fair enough, considering your usual criminal ability.
Rumpole, I was hoping for a quick plea. You see, I'd rather like to get home in time for the 4 o'clock feed.
Oh, you indulge in a high tea, Claude, do you?
Not my 4 o'clock feed, Rumpole. Tristan's.
Tristan's?
My son.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that it was absolutely priceless.
Yeah, quite so. But if you had to name a figure...
How can you put a price on beauty?
It has been done in the past, Mr. Rowan, by some quite well-known ladies.
Oh, highly risible. Fancy drawing Vosper twice. It's like a bad run on the black.
Should we say £500,000? Pounds, not dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland.
Mr. Rowland, you say this is an undoubted painting by Taddeo di Bartolo?
Nicknamed Il Zoppo, the lame one.
A Sienese master of the 14th century.
Il Quattrocento.
Ah, Quattrocento. Yes, I'm obliged. Would you say it was a typical example of the master's work?
Oh, no, I would say it was a remarkably fine example.
Yes. Il Zoppo, the lame one. Is he a painter well known to the general public, would you say?
Oh, he's extremely well known to connoisseurs.
Oh, yes, I'm sure he is. I just wondered if his work was instantly recognizable by the crowd that gets up at the King's Elm on a Saturday night.
My lord, I don't know what my
Well,
lord
that's
is.
the answer.
I would say probably not.
No. And a drinker in the saloon bar who chanced to recognize the lame one's work and wished to purchase it would have to be provided with £500,000 in his hip pocket in order to complete the transaction.
My lord, I really can't imagine what the relevance of these...
The relevance, my lord, is that in his so-called voluntary statement, my client said he intended to flog the painting up the King's Elm next Saturday night. Even judicial knowledge, my lord, must encompass the fact that the King's Elm is not Sotheby's.
And even your extensive knowledge of crime, Mr. Rumpole, must encompass the possibility that your client himself had no idea what the value of the painting was.
All right, old darling. One love in the first set.
Your father wanted me to bring you straight down to court, Mr. Rumpole. I remember Albert used to bring you down here when you was home from school. Whenever Mr. Rumpole Sr. had a nice murder to attract your attention.
I know, he always thought his murders more suitable than the cinema. How is he, Eddie?
Oh, much the same as always, to be frank with you, Mr. Rumpole.
My mother says he's been looking dreadfully tired lately.
Oh, yeah, he does look tired sometimes, I've got to admit it. But he perks up wonderfully when he's got a policeman in the box.
Would you have allowed my client, Percy Timpson, to have seen a solicitor at the time this precious document was signed?
No, I would not.
So that this elderly man, without any legal experience, was left absolutely without advice.
Are you putting your client forward as a man with no legal experience, Mr. Rumpole?
Touche, old darling. Time for Rumpole to skate off onto some thicker ice. Are you aware that my client has been married to his wife, Noreen, for nearly 30 years?
Are you putting your client forward as a perfect husband, Mr. Rumpole?
No, my lord, merely as a loving husband. Did you tell my client that you had brought his wife to the station?
I may have done.
I have here the station book.
Yes?
There is absolutely no record of Mrs. Noreen Timpson having been brought to the station on that or any other day.
I accept that.
And why did you lie to my client?
I did not lie to him.
Why did you tell him that his wife had been brought to the station and charged?
I expect I said it because I intended to do exactly that.
Oh, you intended to charge her?
Yes.
Why did you change your mind?
There's no need to.
No need to charge her. After my client had signed his so-called confession statement. Is that what you mean?
No need to. After that, no.
No. After he'd fallen into your trap, the bait could be thrown away. You had got what you wanted, hadn't you?
Had I?
Oh, yes. An untrue confession, signed in the hope of saving his wife from the welcoming gates of Holloway Prison.
Mr. Rumpole.
Yes, my lord.
Aren't you rather forgetting something? This admirable example of Italian Renaissance art was actually found in your client's garage. Isn't that the point? Yes. Members of the jury, shall we say 5 minutes past 2?
Yeah, Stanley. He's guilty anyway. If he's guilty anyway, why bother to squeeze a confession out of him? I know the Timpsons, Nick. Their activities paid for your school fees for years. They never signed contracts.
You'll be able to lecture on that.
Lecture?
You met him, Julius Kramer.
Was that your doing, Nick?
You must come to board with me. Really, there's lots of room now in the new house.
Well, maybe if we can get away.
Of course you can get away. You've really got to get away.
Got to?
Ma says you've been looking very tired lately.
Oh, your mother don't
Doing the pantomime, are we, Mr. Rumpole?
Is that what you call it?
Thank you.
No, I call it a trial. It's based on the quaint old-fashioned notion that a man is innocent until he's proven. This is my son.
Really? Following in father's footsteps, are we?
No, actually, I'm not.
Come on, sir. You know, Percy Timpson's been a fence for years. Of course, it makes money for you, gentlemen. Saving up for your retirement, are you, Mr. Rumpole?
Oh, yes, got it already. The villa at Positano. Fly down there every weekend. Keep an eye on the yacht and check up on the pickled walnut plantation.
Really? What's the name of this villa of yours, Mr. Rumpole? Rumpole's Retreat?
No, it's called L'Amor. Morte. I hope to take possession when I'm dead.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, very amusing. Suppose we're going through the motions again this afternoon?
Oh, yes.
A man of your age. Really don't know why you bother.
Detective Inspector Brush, the new broom. He considers trials as an unnecessary interruption in his fearless fight against crime.
All the same.
All the same what?
Well, it's not as if it was one of the murders you used to take me to. I mean, they were serious cases.
Used to enjoy those murders, Nick, didn't you?
I mean, if Percy Timpson really is a professional fence...
Oh, yes, he is. Quite professional.
Well, then, why bother, really?
Pink ribbons, you see. It is a girl, isn't it?
Actually, it's a boy.
Oh, dear. Rumpole seemed quite vague about it. Anyway, I don't suppose it matters.
Not at all. It's lovely, thank you.
I really wonder that you have time to come out for tea. What with the baby?
Claude, my husband.
Claude. Oh, yes, Mr. Erskine Brown.
They had a day off court, so he's holding the fort with the baby. Actually, he enjoys it.
Rumpole's not having a day off. He had to go for a conference to Wormwood Scrubs. Anyway, he's doing far too much for a man of his age.
He looks tired. Don't you think so?
Oh, well, I think he looks just as usual.
Oh, no, he's desperately tired. We simply can't wait to get him away.
We get Rumpole away? Where to, exactly?
America.
I want them both to come and live with us in Baltimore.
You want Rumpole to give up the bar?
Well, to retire. Everyone retires, don't they?
Everyone, possibly. But Rumpole?
Well, he's not immortal, Miss Chant. Rumpole's hardly immortal. But not a word to her at the moment. Because, you see, we are luring him across the herring pond by an offer of lectures at Nick's University.
Lectures?
Yes, but as I say, none is the word, because Nick has arranged it all quite brilliantly.
I've got him an offer from one of our professors. He's going to lecture on law.
Rumpole on law?
Oh, really, Miss Tran? Surely he knows about the law.
No, hardly anything.
But Miss Tran...
Well, he could lecture on how to tear up paper during the prosecution speech, or how to trick his opponent into boring the court with a lot of unnecessary cases. That's the one he played on me, you know, when I first started. He knows all about how to cross-examine and which members of the jury to get on his side. But if you ask my honest opinion, Rumpole doesn't know anything about the law.
Oh. Well, it's only the bait to get him over. And we've already put up this flat on the market, so we shall have a little money and living with Nick.
Once he gets over there and sees the house, he'll stay.
Nick has a swimming pool, so he tells me. And a sort of campfire.
Barbecue, Mother.
Is Rumpole tremendously keen on swimming?
Well, if you ask me, he's bored to tears with the sort of case he's doing now.
Dad's in a hopeless position. The judge and police dead against him.
Oh, are they? Oh, well, then I know exactly how he's feeling.
Pretty depressed, I imagine.
No, I should think by now he's just starting to have fun.
Hello,
Mr. Glassworth.
Mr. Turner.
Well, the screws treating you all right, are they?
Some of them are rather sweet, but you've got to get me out of here, Mr. Rumpole.
Well, I've found at least 10 places where the judge failed to remind the jury of our defence.
Then you'll tell the Court of Appeal. Well, you will, Mr. Rumpole, won't you?
Well, I may not be able to take your case on, Mr. Glassworth. Pressure at work, you know.
But if you found 10 good points, you're duty bound.
Well, we'll see what we can do. Meanwhile, perhaps you can help me as an expert in stolen artworks.
An expert? Me? Well, I suppose I am. What do you want to know?
A painting might be too well known to dispose of.
Well, you'll get that trouble, yes. It's hopeless trying to flog a Goya.
Or a Taddeo di Bartolo, nicknamed Il Zoppo.
They're never charging me with that one, are they, Mr. Rumpole? Me?
Well, not as yet. But suppose you had a well-known painting of Di Bartolo's, the Benediction, for example.
Well, you'd never sell it. Too well known.
No, well, what would you do with it?
You mean, what would whoever had purloined such an artwork do, Mr. Rumpole?
Exactly.
Dump it.
Oh, really?
Only thing to do with it. Of course, it might pay you to let the insurance company know where it got left.
Dump it, eh? What sort of place exactly?
Somewhere anonymous, I suppose. Somewhere that couldn't be connected with you. The municipal rubbish tip.
Oh, is that being used?
It has been known. Look, about this appeal, it's bloody impossible in here. I can't get a decent shampoo. I wash my hair daily, me.
Yes, well, as I say, Mr. Glassworth, we'll see what we can do. Thank you. Poor old Glassworth is not taking it very well.
No, I'm afraid not.
Very fastidious fellow. Well, perhaps it'll make him think twice next time. There are grounds, you know. There's 10 points out.
Could I have a word with you? In private?
Well, yes. I'll catch you up.
Yes, I'll be in the car.
I'm up on a visit to old Charlie Timpson.
Oh, yeah?
Remember Charlie, Mr. Rumpole?
Well, it's not easy to remember all the Timpsons.
Well, I'm Vi. Married to Fred Timpson. You remember, Mr. Rumpole? You got our son Jim out of it and bother.
Of course, young Jim, yes. How is he?
Oh, he's doing very nicely, Mr. Rumpole, yes, thank you. He's got his own little window cleaning firm now.
Oh, sorry to hear it.
Yes. Well, what I wanted to tell you, Mr. Rumpole, is, you see, I don't agree with what the family done to Uncle Perce.
What the family did?
Poor old Auntie Norrie, she's going up the wall about it. Well, it wasn't really the whole family. It was Cyril mostly.
Oh?
You see, he was ever so angry when Uncle Perce sold all that foam back carpet for 20 quid. So
no,
he...
Bye. Would you like a cup of tea?
Oh, I'd love one.
I think you'd better tell me all about it. Come on.
Yes, well, I said you might recognize the odd actor. Right now. Port, brandy, something?
Lovely.
Over here, by the fire.
Ah, Guthrie Featherstone.
Good evening, Judge.
You don't often see you in the club, my boy. Keeping you pretty busy.
Snowed under, Judge. Snowed completely under.
You want to come and relax on the bench. I'm always in the club by tea time, aren't I, Simon?
Yes, Daddy, always.
This is my son, Simon.
Ah.
Guthrie Featherstone, QC MP. Simon has just finished his pupillage. Naturally, he's looking round for a seat in the first-class chambers. Aren't you, Simon?
Yes, Daddy.
Margaret.
Yes, sir.
Would you care for a drink, you fellows? 4 large gins and tonic.
Yes, sir.
Where do you?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy.
Oh, I don't think you know Claude Erskine-Brown.
Erskine-Brown?
I brought him in for a delayed celebration. He's just had a baby.
Really? You've made a remarkable recovery. Yes, as I was saying, Simon is looking round for a seat in the first-class chambers.
Trouble with our chambers is, Judge, we're chock-a-block.
Well, of course you are. But if you could manage something for Simon...
Well, there might be a vacancy, as a matter of fact, Judge. I haven't told Guthrie this yet, but apparently Rumpole's retiring. He's going to live with his son in America.
Rumpole retiring?
Yes, Mrs. Rumpole had Philly round to tea. I gather it's pretty immediate.
Well, it can't be too soon for me. I've got him before me at the moment.
Yes, I know, Judge. I'm prosecuting.
So you are. Hardly noticed you. Rumpole simply hogs the limelight. It's a hopeless case, but you can't stop the fellow fighting.
I wanted to discuss with you as a family your Uncle Percy's defence.
Yes, Mr. Rumpole. Mine's a coffee, dear. Well, we rely on you, Mr. Rumpole. I mean, the Simpson family have always been able to rely on Mr. Rumpole.
Oh, yes, but can Mr. Rumpole rely on the Simpson family?
Mine's the lemon tea, Vi. What do you mean exactly?
Well, as you well know, $500,000 liquor and outworks from the Italian Quattrocento are hardly in Uncle Percy's league, are they? So I'm going to have to put him into the witness box to explain to the jury just exactly what his league is.
What do you mean, Mr. Rumpole?
I mean that he's going to tell the judge how he disposed of 4,000 Green Shield stamps for you, Fred, and a couple of long loads of London tights. Innumerable canteens of cutlery and 25 yards of foam-back carpet from the local Odeon for you, Cyril. And a consignment of electric blankets and 3 freezer loads of stolen scampi from you.
Well, I ain't got no convictions. No, Cyril's clean. Oh, thanks to you, Mr. Rumpole.
Yes, I believe you've got a legitimate job now, haven't you? Where is it?
I'm a crane driver on the municipal mucky.
A municipal mucky? Now, isn't that an extraordinary coincidence?
What do you mean, Mr. Rumpole?
Because it was on a municipal mucky that some far more cultivated villain than any of us dumped the benediction by Taddeo di Bartolo. Uncle Percy hasn't been doing too well lately as a fence, has he?
Not too brilliant, no. Oh, I've got to admit that. Uncle Percy's getting past it.
Getting past it? Oh, yes, I know. Letting your hard-won consignment of electric blankets go at our price. Gossiping in pubs with some minor grasp, isn't it?
He got our lad Jim 6 months chattering away like that, Mr. Rumpole. Silly old fool. He's a menace to everyone, is Uncle Percy.
Then why you all decided he ought to be retired?
What'd you say, Mr. Rumpole?
Retired, put out to grass, rusticated, put on the shelf, given his cards. The whole family decided he was getting past it. You wanted him to retire quickly.
You couldn't persuade Percy it was time to go, Mr. Rumpole. Honestly, he wouldn't listen to reason. The man was bloody dangerous going around at his age.
So Cyril, with the clean record, plants a picture on him and rings up D.I. Brush for the information. Oh, dear me. Hardly a golden handshake for the poor old fellow, was it? Not even a gold watch from the company. Trouble with you all that you're none of your Bernard Berenson.
Not what, Mr. Rumpole?
You're not even Lord Clark. You don't watch Civilization even on the telly. You couldn't tell the difference between the genuine Fra Angelico and the top of a biscuit box. And because of your total abysmal ignorance in that as artistic, Uncle Percy's up on a £500,000 handling and 3/4 of the way to Parkhurst Isle of Wight.
What are you going to do about it, Mr. Rumpole?
No, Cyril, what are you going to do about it? You'd better think quick. Uncle Percy's going to give his evidence tomorrow. Oh, it's you, Nick.
How are you?
Where's your mother?
Oh, I think she's visiting the baby.
Oh, the Erskine Brown's baby. Seems to exert an extraordinary influence over she who must be obeyed.
You tired, Dad?
I do feel a little down, see me? Yes, a little low.
Bad day in court.
Detective Inspector Brush wants to reverse the burden of proof, revoke Magna Carta, and abolish barristers. Well, I suppose that'd be all right. If only he could resist gingering up the evidence a bit when he feels like it. There's no honor among thieves anymore, Nick. I'm ashamed of the Timpson family.
Yes, I've always thought your job must be pretty depressing.
They all decided that old Uncle Percy ought to be retired, and they cooked up the most diabolical plot. Oh, I don't know what things are coming to. A drop of G&T?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Look, I think you got yourself into a terrible rut.
Matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race.
'Tis not too late to seek a newer world, push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows.
You remember it, Nick? Poor old Alfred Lord Tennyson. For my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the paths of all the western stars until I die.
You're going to, aren't you?
What, die?
Of course not. Sail beyond the sunset. You are coming to Baltimore.
Oh, Nick, it's such a long way from the Old Bailey.
Saw Professor Kramer today.
Oh.
Yes, only trouble is he's no longer at the Savoy. They've taken him into the St. Thomas's Hospital.
Oh, dear.
He collapsed while jogging.
Jogging, eh? Well, I've always said that exercise is a shortcut to the cemetery. Cheers.
Good, so, I'll play it like that.
Oh, Erskine Brown.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm so glad I caught you. I'm rounding up members of Chambers. It's this business of Rumpole's retirement. I thought of laying on a dinner at the club.
Oh, at the Sheridan. Yes, he'd enjoy that.
I think we ought to give dear old Rumpole a good send-off.
Yes, of course we should.
And I suppose some sort of presentation. Can you think of anything Rumpole needs?
Well, he needs a new hat.
Yes, I suppose he does. Problem is you can't engrave our signatures on a hat.
Well, what about some kind of a loving cup? Have to hold a good deal of claret, of course.
No, I don't think we need go so far as a loving cup. Perhaps we should settle for a clock. Oh, I say, Kevy, here it comes.
Well, Erskine Bryan, ready for battle. I think we might have a little surprise for you today.
Really?
Ah, Horace, would you be free by any chance next Thursday evening?
Free? I shouldn't think so. I'll probably be at home with my wife.
No, we'd like Hilda to come too, of course. And Nick, I believe he's over.
Come where?
Well, I'm giving a little dinner at my club, the Sheridan. Most of the Chambers will be there, so pencil it in now. That's a good chap.
What's come over our learned head of Chambers? Is he coming to money or something?
Let me understand you correctly. You found the picture on the municipal rubbish dump.
Where I works, yeah.
And you put it in your Uncle Percy's garage.
Well, I had the key. He lent me his 1100 when they went on holiday.
I see. And you put it there at night without telling your uncle what you'd done?
Well, I did it quietly, like, not wanting to waken the old couple.
But why store it in Uncle Percy's garage?
Well, I ain't got no accommodation. I mean, not for a thing that size at home.
Mr. Timpson, can you suggest one reason why the members of the jury should believe this extraordinary story?
Yeah. You see, members of the jury, I phoned the local Nick that night. I told them there was this picture like, and if they were interested, well, they could find it in Uncle Percy's garage. Well, they were round first thing next morning with a dawn patrol.
Mr. Timpson, who did you speak to when you rang the local Nick?
Detective Inspector Rush.
Mr. Featherstone says, can you let me have a cheque for £10?
Well, I think that's all, Mr. Timpson.
What's your contribution?
Unless your lordship
to
has
Mr.
any further
Rumpole's
questions.
clock. Mr. Featherstone suggested that we waited in the members' rather splendid hall, and he'll be joining us in a few moments.
Thank you, Henry.
Yes,
Oh, I'm not sure you...
Well, Judge George Frobisher.
Oh, hello, Rumpole.
Jailed any more Romeo since we last met, George? What's the theme song of your courts again? Hello, young lovers. You're under arrest.
I was only doing my duty, Rumpole.
Ah, yes, that's the old excuse, isn't it? When one wants to do something particularly bloody. You are meeting someone here, are you?
I'm having dinner with you, Rumpole.
Remind me, when did I invite you?
You didn't. Featherstone did. Dinner in your honour.
Oh, in my honour? That's very decent of you, George.
Yes.
Well, George, even though you have assumed the mantle of Judge Jeffries, I must say I miss you round Pomeroy's of an evening. No friendly jar when the day's work's done.
Well, it's the one disadvantage of being a circuit judge. The job finishes at tea time, and you're not even allowed to go to the pub.
I say, Rumpole, you're not a member here, are you?
No, Judge, I don't believe I am.
Well, you're sitting on the member's sofa.
Oh, dear.
I suppose you plead ignorance.
No, Judge, I plead exhaustion.
Mr. Rumpole's party, Mr. Featherstone's waiting in the dining room.
Thank you, Henry.
Splendid. Go on, dear.
Hello, George.
Mr. Justice Vosper, thank God we're not having dinner with him.
Look, Rumpole.
Oh, Rumpole!
Here he is, the guest of honor.
Rumpole of the Bailey.
Rumpole, my dear fellow, and Mrs. Rumpole and Nick. So delighted you could come.
Are we feeding the entire Rumpole family?
What is this, a wedding or a wake? Erskine Bride, Miss Trant.
Mrs. Erskine Bride.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I say, where's the baby? Left home, has it?
It's actually in its carrigot with our next door neighbour.
Horace, I'm afraid that one of us will have to leave early to give it its 10 o'clock feed.
One of us.
You don't get a drink.
Oh, I'm sure Rumpole will find plenty to do. It's the wonderful thing about retirement. He'll be able to do all the things that he's never had time for.
Is there anything that Rumpole hasn't had time for? Oh, he's got time to do the crossword, time to drink claret.
Well, he'll have time for reading. You know how fond he is of poetry.
Does Rumpole read poetry? I thought he only said it.
We shall miss Horace, you know, Mrs. Rumpole.
I always think of your husband as one of those wonderful links with the past. Like those lovely old gas lights at the temple.
Really? Can't say I never thought of Rumpole as a gas light in the temple. Rumpole is a pillar of the criminal bar.
Of course he is, Mrs. Rumpole. Of course he is. Marigold realises that, don't you, Marigold?
All right. Lovely old pillar, then.
Yeah, I dare say so. I suppose it's nice for you to go out on a win.
Go out? Out where? Oh, out to dinner, rather, yeah.
No, I didn't enjoy our case very much. Quite honestly, I find that these days I really prefer paperwork at home. It gives one more time with the family.
And I love court. Of course, there'll be an awful lot of spare crime going now.
Oh, really? Do you foresee an outbreak of villainy?
As I'm sure once Dad gets over there and sees the house, you know, he'll settle down.
Are you, Nick?
I'll tell you, the ridiculous cases he's doing now. I mean, there must be something more important, mustn't there, than whether Percy Timpson receives the stolen picture or the cutlery?
I doubt if there's anything more important for Rumpole.
You know, the one reason I enjoy tonight even more than our case is the complete absence of Mr. Justice Vosper.
Rumpole.
Oh, my God.
Only your judge.
Rumpole, I don't think you know my son Simon, do you?
No, I don't think I do. Should I?
Simon is endlessly grateful for the favour you are doing him, Rumpole. Aren't you grateful to Rumpole, Simon?
Yes, Daddy, of course I am.
I say that was an outrageous win you had to do. Your client should have been potted.
Sorry you miscued.
Miscued? Well, that's funny. I dare say, Simon, that you'll have some outrageous wins too as soon as you get your bottom onto Rumpole's chair.
Oh, God.
What on earth's he babbling about? Getting his son's bottom on my chair? Justice must be getting past it.
Come along, Rumpole. I've ordered pheasant, game chips with all the trimmings, the very best the Sheridan can offer.
Oh, I see. The last time I remember having presents was in old Willoughby Private's day. We had a chambers dinner at Simpson in the Strand, and they dished us up pheasant.
Come on, Uncle Tom.
The occasion was Tiny Benstead being made Recorder of Swindon, which was quite an honour at the time.
Dinner's ready,
Poor
Uncle
old Tiny got one of these little prison bones stuck in his gullet, and they had to rush him off to hospital. Death by suffocation. He never did sit as recorder. Quite a disappointment to his wife. Oh, is this my... Ah,
Just a few words from me. Horace has become part of our lives in chambers, rather like a valued antique which we see every day and only notice and miss perhaps when it's gone.
That would have been said better.
So
He had to go.
I sincerely hope that you and Mrs. Rumpole will accept this clock as a token of our affection and esteem. May it give you many happy hours in the future.
Speak, sir. Speak.
Yes, come on.
Well, unaccustomed as I am.
Oh, nonsense.
If your lordship pleases. She, Hilda, Nick, and my friends, my dear friends. This occasion has cheered me enormously. Because there have been times lately, in the long hours in your lordship's court...
Pretty long for me too, Rumpole.
Listening to the continuing attacks on our profession by the police, there have been times when I've wondered if I wasn't getting into some sort of rut.
That's exactly what I've been thinking.
Matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed, and know not me.
Really, Rumpole.
In these moods, I must confess, I have been tempted to jack it all in to retire and go out to grass.
Very understandable.
But your support, your affection, and above all, this very handsome gift have completely changed my mind.
What's this?
What did he say? I'm talking about the clock, Uncle Tom.
It is not too late to seek a newer world.
A newer world? I believe he is going after all.
Of course he is.
Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved heaven and earth, that which we are, we are.
What are we?
What we are, Uncle Tom.
Oh, that's nice to know.
One equal temper of heroic hearts.
Still makes a good final speech, old Rumpole.
Made weak by time and fate, yet strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Well, is that it?
This handsome timepiece, my dear friends, will encourage me to forget all thought of surrender and retirement, and not to yield in all my future cases at the Old Bailey, London Sessions, Luton, Crown, and even before the Uxbridge magistrates. And I will never be late. This will always get me to the court on time.
For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic.
What I can't understand is Horace Rumpole hanging on to our clock.